Welcome back to the Print on Demand cast. On today's show, we're going to talk about organizing your print on demand business for success. Let's get into it.
Radical! Welcome to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. Each week, join the gnarly Travis and Josiah as they provide insight into the print on demand industry and equip you with the totally tubular tools, advice, and strategies you need to achieve success and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. Now on to this week's totally tubular show.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Print on Demand cast. It is great to be back with you again. And as always, joining me for this episode and every episode, Travis Ross from Make Your Mark Design. Travis, it is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Hope your week has been well. We are now officially into the fourth year. Third year? Fourth year.
I think it's four.
Yeah, we're into the fourth year. It was just last week we celebrated the anniversary of that, but I've already forgotten what exactly. It just feels like we've been doing this for a month and also 5 years at the same time. It's weird how time works like that. So, but great to see you, man. How are things over in your neck of the woods?
I feel like I say this every week, but more local orders, coming in.
Nice.
And got a big order for a bunch of tote bags that we'll be able to press here. And so really great price margin on that. Because it's basically transfers and totes. And so going to be doing that. Everything's coming in this week. Have another client that I've been talking to about doing some laser patch hats. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see this one. I did this actually. This kind of has a funny story. This hat I got at a print show, probably an impressions show would be my guess. And it's from Outdoor Cap, and they had a patch right here that said Outdoor Cap, and it was sewn in. And so I decided I didn't want to advertise for them. So I just popped that patch right off, cut the thread, pulled it all through. And
Nice.
there was, obviously holes in there, but I just made the patch a little bit bigger. And then if you can see, it's just like mountains and, kind of a cool Colorado vibe. One of the most comfortable hats I've ever had. It's not only a trucker. I'm not going to take it off because my hair looks terrible, but it's a trucker. So it's got like the adjustable thing in the back, but it's also kind of a flex fit. So it like really, really fits awesome. And it kind of comes low and most comfortable.
Is it a Richardson? Is that what that is?
No, it's called Outdoor Cap is the name of the company.
Okay. Nice.
And they have this one. And then I was talking to him actually in Atlantic City this past impressions show, and they're coming out with a new version of this that I don't remember what the difference is, but it's
but it's different.
The latest and greatest.
It warrants a release date. That's how different it is. We don't know how, but it's new.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
We're talking to that client, and he's got a massive, like, several 100,000 YouTube channel, and it's all about kids. And
nice.
So I had to find like a specific toddler hat that he's looking at doing, but he wants to put patches on it. And so I can just make a bunch of patches on my laser engraver, order some hats, and then as the orders come in, just heat press them and put them in a box and send them out. So kind of
nice.
Cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. I'm excited to be here on the show. Again, we're going to be talking about organizing your print-on-demand business for success. There's not going to be a point of interest this week. There's a lot to get to in the main event for Travis to kind of show. It's kind of show and tell. And Travis is excited because it's talking about organization. It's talking about spreadsheets and all of the things that Travis loves and has talked about for 4 years on the show. But before we get there, we're going to go to this week's Weekly Dad Joke.
Time for the Weekly Dad Joke.
All right, Travis, I'm going to follow up on, I guess, reportedly, some people thought maybe some potty humor from the last episode. Dad jokes.
You devil.
But hey, it's whatever. So we're just going to double down, go for it. Here's this week's weekly dad joke. Here it is. Why are pirates so angry after using the restroom?
Why are pirates so angry after using the restroom?
Yes.
I don't know.
Because after the pee, they're just irate. There you go.
Nice.
Some more toilet-themed humor for
Like it.
everyone here on the Print on Demand Gas. Let us know how that goes over at your local poker night, at your local watering hole. I don't know, family dinner. Give it a shot. See what happens, and let us know what you think. So, with that being said, we're going to go right to this week's main event.
On a cold, dreary night in September of 2020, Travis Ross and Josiah Sifuentes created the Print on Demand cast. This is the main event.
Very ominous.
You know,
Spooky.
after last week, and we realized that we actually started on August 31st. I feel bad about that bumper talking about a cold, dreary night in September because it's a lie.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh well.
That's terrible.
Well, it's okay. We already said last week, we just kind of claim it. It was kind of a gray area when did it start. But hey, we're talking about organizing your print on demand business for success today. And I will say, you know, a lot of the success that you have in your business will stem from the amount of organization and intentionality you bring to the systems. So
Right.
it's going to be really important for you. You know, people ask a lot about podcasting, have asked me about podcasting. How do you, how do you do a successful podcast or what have you? And I've heard other people say this phrase that, you know, 90% of a successful podcast happens before you press record in your organization and your preparation and what you're bringing to the table. 10% is the actual filming, the content, the recording. Everything else is done in the organization and the strategy leading up to that. So same thing in business. A lot of the success that you experience from business will be determined by the level of organization you have and foresight into what exactly you're wanting this business to be and how you're wanting it to work. And for those of you that are listening on Spotify or Apple or Stitcher or Google or what have you, this is a very visually heavy episode. Like I said, it's Travis's kind of show and tell day for his systems that he has, and he's going to be walking us through some examples. And so you're going to want to see that, and you can do that by going to printondemandcast.com/YouTube to see all the visual aids that are going to be available to you for this episode. So getting started, one thing that we've talked a lot about, Travis, and organization when it comes to print on demand and design is something called a DID or a SKU, a design ID or a SKU. So for those listening that are new, that maybe haven't listened to the show before or started listening midway, and maybe we haven't circled back to this type of topic in a while, explain a little bit what a DID is and what the purpose of that is in terms of organization for your print on demand company.
Sure. Yeah. So design ID is a it's an ID for your design. Wow. Shocker. So it's a
awesome.
number. Yeah. It's a number that basically ties back to that particular design. And the cool thing about a design ID is that you can use that design ID or that DID, as I like to call it, on all kinds of different products. So, you know, you might put it on a t-shirt, a coffee mug, a hoodie, you know, a piece of wall art. You know, there's a lot of different things that you can put a design on. So the design ID keeps it all kind of, you know, when you look at the SKU, because the SKU contains that design ID, you know what design is actually on that product. So it's not really rocket science, but it really does help an organization as you're moving forward, as you're expanding to other platforms, as you are building out your catalog. You know, it's one thing to have, you know, 50 products and, you know, kind of skew them however you want. It doesn't, you know, it's not as critical. Although I would say it'll still help even with 50 products.
Yeah.
But when, you know, once you have 100 or 500 or 1,000 or, you know, like me, I have, you know, close to 1 million products on various, you know, on Walmart and Amazon, on Etsy, on Shopify.
Yeah.
So when you have that many products, you've got to have some type of organization that's foundational for your business. So basically, I just wanted to kind of go over some of these, so first of all, we just talked about like why use a DID. Well, for the SKU for sure. And then you also will want to create like a product key. So, like for me, an 11-ounce mug is MG11. A 15-ounce mug is obviously an MG15. If I wanted to do a black mug, it might be BMG11 and BMG15. But you're gonna create a product key so you know what that design ID is actually on, and that becomes your SKU. And it's really simple, but I think a lot of people just kind of glaze over it at the beginning because they're so interested in getting their products up and getting their store launched and all of that. And I would say take a step back, let's get organized, because once you launch your store, now you got to focus on the marketing, and there's always going to be something else that can take you away from organizing your business. And, we talked about Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth, a few episodes back. And, the idea behind that is to work on your business, not in your business. And so, I think that really applies to VAs and such, but it also applies to like getting ready to move into business, because the fewer friction points you can have by starting out organized, the better your business is going to be, the more efficient you're going to be in running it. And, potentially the fewer hats that you're going to have to wear, it's just efficient, so I think I can jump into,
let's do it. So talking about kind of, I think segueing into like, okay, so you have all of that. So what do you do to track, if you have new designs, what does that look like in implementation? Is there a way of queuing that, or kind of an assignment sheet for those that are working on the back end of this? What's that look like?
Yeah, so that's exactly what we have. We have a design assignment sheet, and let's go ahead. I'm going to throw that up here. Yeah. So this is a design assignment sheet, and I'm going to make it full screen here. And as you can see here, it's just a Google Doc, and got a little product key up here. This, obviously could be much larger. It's only got mugs, t-shirts, camping mugs, totes, and pillows here. But you can make that as big as you need it to be, but it's just kind of a key, so you know what's going on. And so then you get into kind of this row, or this row 2, where it's got all these headers. So the first one is the QC1, and that's what we called it, quality control 1. And so this person is a researcher. They're going out and they would put their initials here, and then the date that they added it. And then they would go out and find a product, to like on Etsy or on Amazon. And they're like, oh, I really like this. But I want to maybe change it, because we don't condone copying people. Hey, I want to go out and look for, today I'm going to focus on nurses, or something else. And so this person put their initials in, they'd put the date it is, and then they would find a product somewhere, and like, for example, this is just one I found. It says, sorry, I can't, I'm in the middle of a puzzle piece. It's just a coffee mug. And you could put this on a shirt. You could do a lot of things with this. So that's the design that we're going to start with. And then in the next column, the details, this is how you're going to, be unique to that design. You're going to change that design in some way. So this, the detail sheet says, please make the text, sorry, I can't, I'm busy puzzling. And, so then what'll happen next is, once this design priority has been set, and I have just high priority here because it's just an example spreadsheet. It might be a lower priority. Maybe the high priority is your, upcoming holidays or something like that. You got to get it done fast. Or you could even do this with trending things. Hey, this just hit, and so this is super high priority. And so skip everything else in designer and work on this. And so you might be your own designer, so you might not need all of these columns, but I still think it's good. The purpose of this is to come all the way over here, and each one of these designs that is being made is going to get assigned a design ID. on this sheet. And so you know that this particular product has this design ID. And then I added this category. I didn't do this at first, and I really wish I would have. This category column here. And again, it's an example spreadsheet. So I just have Christmas, pets, professions, family, hobbies, but you could go crazy with this, because what this will allow you to do is later you can come back and you can sort by this category, and you can find all the Christmas ones, and you can see which ones have been done, which ones haven't been done, or you can find all the ones, we're having Pet Awareness Month. I don't even know if that's a thing. You find all the ones on pets. It probably is. Yeah. And so I like that. And then you can obviously edit and add to your heart's content, have all kinds of different categories. Or you could have, if you're more of a niched brand and you're really niched down, maybe you're just doing dogs, but it'd be nice to know Dachshund, Labrador, Golden Retriever, et cetera, et cetera. So then once the designer comes in here, they're going to mark it completed. And then we have the QC1 person who actually came up with the idea is going to come back and look at it and then approve it. And this is, if you have VAs that are working, and obviously we do. So this is kind of how we've done things. If you don't have that, and it's just you designing, you don't need these columns. And then these other columns here, you can see there's the MG11, there's the product ID codes. So, and we're going to put this one on a mug 11, a 15-ounce coffee mug, and that's it. We're not going to put it on a t-shirt, but if we did want to, we just put an X there. And so we know that these three products are going to have this DID. And so that is, a quick and dirty look at the design assignment sheet. So that's kind of how we would get our DIDs situated for each design. And then we'll keep moving on, but that's kind of the first step, how you're getting these designs, or how you're creating these designs, and also how you are assigning them a DID for the next spreadsheet and the next spreadsheet, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. Yep. So Travis, there's lots of links. Obviously you're looking at, the linking to the example, but when they make the design, when the VA makes the design, they have to store it somewhere. So design storage is another thing you have to think about when you're doing organization. Now, you and I both have used Dropbox for a very long time when it comes to those links and the storage of those links, and lots of iterations of what that system looks like. But I know that you had an incident, or a kind of a thing where Walmart didn't really dig the Dropbox link, so you had to change to something that people usually eat with sushi, wasabi. So tell us a little bit about wasabi and what's the difference, and how has that helped you? Is it more efficient? Do you like it better? Kind of chat through that option, because I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with Dropbox. So I know before you started using it, I didn't even know what wasabi was, again, other than the condiment at the sushi restaurants.
Yeah. So wasabi is basically a reskinned Amazon web platform, and it's a storage, you have buckets, and you can FTP into wasabi if you need to. And, people way smarter than me, that do really cool things on the internet, are using wasabi. For me, the difference in wasabi and Dropbox, other than the fact that I couldn't use it if I wanted to be on Walmart, they didn't accept the Dropbox links, so I had to do something. So we tried wasabi. It worked with Walmart. So we decided to move everything over, which was a massive task that I had a VA do as a project. It was a separate VA that we hired to just do that. And it was a big project. But once we got into wasabi, we realized we kind of lucked into the fact that their links are sequential. So if you ever look at a Dropbox link, it's like dropbox.com/whatever. And then it's like just a bunch of random letters and numbers. There's nothing unique to that particular design or whatever. The cool thing about wasabi is if you organize it correctly, it puts them in buckets. And then inside of those buckets, what we would do is we created a folder for each DID. So on that sheet you saw earlier, it was like 10,000, and then 10,001. And so there's a folder for each one of those. And then inside that folder is the actual art. And it's named, guess what? The DID. And so as we were doing this, my son Tate really became a whiz at spreadsheets and Excel and Google Sheets and all of that. And he realized with some formulas, you could basically take these sequential links and you could add things to them. So when we created the mock-up, for example, for our 11-inch coffee mug with DID 10,000 on it, we would do it would be the 10,000L version for the light color because it's a white coffee mug. If we did a dark shirt, it would be the 10,000-D design. And so what we could do is we could create all this stuff, and then someone could come in later and just basically create a spreadsheet that added the -L and the -D, and it would automatically create the link. So we didn't have to go to each product, right click, grab link, come to the spreadsheet, paste. It was automatic. So that was really cool. We kind of lucked into that. But anyway, so each DID has a folder, and they're named after the DID. And then inside the folder, we have the design itself. We have another folder for any products that this design has been used on. So we might have the DID and then mug, t-shirt, tote, pillow, whatever. And you can name those however you want. And then all of those folders should be named the same in every DID folder, because again, you want this sequential, this ability to create these sequential links. So as you in other words, as you drag down in a Excel spreadsheet and you have a number, it'll add a number each time. So it's lining up with your design ID or your design assignment sheet, the actual DIDs that you created. So I know this is really confusing. I would show you inside Wasabi to kind of give you some examples of it. But let's jump to what I actually call the design ID tracker. And maybe this will make a little bit more sense.
Sure.
So let's jump in there here. Okay, so this is the design ID tracker. And so over here, you have the design ID and the category. And you can actually link these from the design assignment sheet because you have the category and you have the design ID right here. So you could just link them. So anytime you put something on this sheet, it automatically populated the design ID and the category, which is kind of cool. Then we have the title. And, you can use ChatGPT like we've done to do some of that. But this title is actually not product specific because, again, this is just the design ID.
Right.
So what this design ID tracker is going to do for us, it's going to give us all the different versions of that piece of art that we want to potentially use on different products. So these columns, so I have the light. Remember I said DID-L because it's on the light product for the MG11 or the mug. So this column is light. This one's light distressed. Now, we used to do 4 versions of everything. We did a light distressed, a dark, and a dark distressed. Now, typically, we just do a light and a dark for the most part. Distressed isn't as popular as it was, I guess, in the 2018, 2017, whatever. So now we just do the light and the dark. You don't have to do all these things. You probably do a light and a dark version for each. And these links here, and I wish I could show it to you. Let me see if I can just copy the link and paste it in this URL, which is going to be too small for you to see. But you see how it's sequential here? So this is always going to be the same, this first part. And then RM Designs is the bucket that these designs are in. This is the first folder. And then there's the actual PNG file for the light.
Sure.
So the next one is just going to be the same thing, except it's going to have D's here. So again, this is terrible podcast material, but And then this light distress might say LD, and this might say DD, and then
Right.
I actually did some cropped close where we actually banded the actual palette, I guess, for the art
Sure.
right up next to it. So we knew exactly how big it was and we could put it, whatever size we needed to. You don't have to have these, but that's something else that we did with this design. But all this is just giving you access to any design ID you have, and you can always see what it's, what you're actually, what that piece of art is. You can always find it, whatever product you're going to put it on, if it's light or dark or whatever. And then you also have this title that doesn't have any product related information. So it's retro Merry Christmas flower magical holiday season gift idea. That's a keyword stuffed thing if I ever heard one. But it doesn't say coffee mug or t-shirt, because that design ID, just this design ID right here, could go on a t-shirt or a mug. And so I don't want to have that, because I want to use another formula later when I'm actually adding that, product information. I want to use that later. So it makes it to where I can grab this title and then I can add coffee mug, coffee and tea mug, whatever else I want to put on there at a later date. So that is the design ID tracker. And I'm sure we've lost half of our listeners by now.
Hey, we give them a warning in the beginning. Listen, this is very visually heavy. So if you're listening and like, what in the world, go back and re-listen and hop on YouTube, and you'll kind of know what to expect and what's coming and all of that kind of stuff. But it'll give you that visual insight, because the visuals obviously are very, very helpful in all of this. And so, Travis, one thing we've talked about a lot too, and this all kind of feeds and is very symbiotic in terms of all these spreadsheets and the purpose they serve and how they help one another. But looking at a master listing spreadsheet and why it's important, we've talked about this before, but you have access to all the data for each SKU, which makes it easy to add other sales channels and flat files with Amazon and Etsy and Walmart. And there might be some different routing and different kind of structure that each platform has for their flat file template. But for the most part, the lion's share, the bulk of it is already done, because you have that information on that spreadsheet. And so adding another channel becomes a click of a couple buttons, as opposed to going back and trying to grab all those designs again and scrubbing for all those titles. And if it's all there, if it's there from the outset and you're just starting on one platform, then you have the ability very easily to make the lateral move to a different platform, but then double your offerings automatically because it's on another platform, opening up another stream of potential revenue and sales income. So, Travis, do you have a master spreadsheet example as well to show the good people that are either watching or will be watching, because they finally understand that this really is a visually heavy episode and we just keep throwing to screen shares?
Of course I do. This is actually one of the most talked about or requested spreadsheets that I have. And basically what it is, it's every single SKU that we have, all of the information that comes from that SKU. So it's going to have, your name, what the product is, the bullet points, the description, the keywords, all kinds of information. So, let's go ahead and let's jump into the master listing spreadsheet. Here we go. So of course you have the SKU. And so this is the final piece, and you can even create a formula for this if you wanted to, DID. And then, if you wanted to, you could potentially have a different master listing spreadsheet for each of your products. So you could have one for mugs, you could have one for t-shirts, you could have one for black mugs, one for, wall art, one for posters, different products like that. So you get the idea. So the first one is your SKU, and you're going to put the actual SKU. So this is going to have every single product that you have listed. So if you have a t-shirt, for example, and it has 6 sizes and it has 5 colors, that's going to be 30 lines of SKUs, because each one of those colors and sizes has a different SKU. And that's, and you have to decide with your design key, or I'm sorry, your product key, what the, if is R red or is it RD or RED, and so
Right.
you create that key for your different products and your different colors and sizes and all of that stuff. So the next column is the design ID, and this literally links back to the folder for this design ID. So you don't have to have this if you don't want, but it includes all the assets, all of the mock-ups that we've created, the vendor print files, because the vendor print files might be different than your art file, because you might make art file in a certain size, and I know from experience, vendor A wants the t-shirts in this, size, and vendor B wants the t-shirts, the art in this size. So this is going to have all of those things inside this folder for this particular product. Again, you don't have to have it, since this is actually like this particular product. I'm only interested, at least on this line, I'm only interested in the things that apply to this product. However, it is nice to be able to come here, click, and go to all your mock-ups for your coffee mugs. So then your product name, which has now been appended to include coffee and tea gift mug 11 ounce. And then the next line is coffee and tea gift mug 15 ounce. Then you have your product type. Now this is interesting here. So these are the design URLs. This is actually not the print file. This is a link to the main design for this ID, for this DID. So this is going to be what is that? 1 million or 100,000? I don't know how many zeros that is. 1,000,001 dash L is what and that's going to be back here on this, it's going to be this link here is what that's going to be from the design ID tracker that we talked about earlier. If there is a back design URL, you can put it here. Again, you'd probably want to have that on your tracker. You might actually have light back, light or dark back, here on your design ID tracker. But back to the master listing sheet. Size only used if a product has a specific size. Color, same thing. So obviously a coffee mug doesn't have a size or a color. I mean, you could actually use that for the 11 ounce piece if you wanted to. I just had already done it like that, so I left it like that. Then you come to the vendor print file URL. Like I said earlier, not all vendors want their t-shirt print file in the same dimensions. So this is where you would, manipulate that art, put it on, the canvas that they want and the size that they want, and you would link to this. And this is also going to be a sequential URL in Wasabi, and it's going to be linked in that folder for this particular DID. Same thing with the vendor back print file URL. And then a vendor SKU, because so your vendors need to know what this product is. They're not privy to your SKU information. They don't know what a DID is, for your product. So they might, if they're printing it on a Gildan 64,000 red XL, they have a specific SKU for that, just like you do. And so that's where their SKU would come in. The product description, all of the rest of these all of the rest of the columns here are going to be optional. But your product description, you might want to have a different type of product description for Etsy versus Amazon. And that's fine. You could have 2 columns here, but this is your basic product description for this product. Bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe, like this is for Amazon for sure, but Etsy doesn't really have bullet points. It's pretty much all their product description. Then you have your tags and or your keywords that you're using. Again, if you want to use different tags and keywords for Etsy versus Walmart or whatever, you can have separate columns. And then your mock-up URLs. Okay. This is again going to be in that folder with the DID under mug. So I have all of my mock-ups in there. And you know what? They're named exactly the same way in every single one of those folders. And you're like, Travis, that's so confusing. No, because it's a sequential URL. So I can create this particular column right here by just saying L1 and L2 and L3, mockup 1, mockup 2, mockup 3, tagged on to the rest of the URL for that particular folder. So it becomes very important that these are sequential URLs. Otherwise, you're going back to, Wasabi, you're right clicking, you're copying the link, you're coming over here and you're pasting it in. You don't want to do that.
Right.
So, and you can add as many mockup URL files or columns as you need. And then again, more optional columns, but is it listed on Amazon, listed on Walmart, listed on Etsy, listed on eBay, listed on Shopify, listed on Wish, and so a lot of times we will list on Amazon first, and then we'll come back and list on Walmart. But you could come here really quickly and see everything that's listed on all the products. And if you, and maybe you don't want to list everything on Etsy because Etsy costs, where Amazon and Walmart, you pay a subscription fee on Amazon, but you're not paying per product. So, but Etsy, you are. Maybe you don't want to list every single thing on Etsy or every single thing on eBay, et cetera, et cetera. So you can see very quickly visually what's listed on what. And that just, helps for your state of mind. And you can come back and you go, oh, we forgot to list those on Walmart. We need to do that. So that's the master listing spreadsheet.
Dang, there's a lot. There's a lot there. And I mean, a well-run spreadsheet, a spreadsheet that is optimized and runs efficiently. There's nothing better than that, to be quite honest with you. I know very little about them, but when I'm able to really engineer something that I'm like, wow, when you do this, that does that, and it populates here, and then look, oh my God, my life is so much easier. There's nothing better. So kudos on that spreadsheet and the development. I know it's something that has been refined and redone and honed in on over years and years and years and years. And here's the thing: you might think it's a good base if you're out there thinking, wow, that's a good place to start. It is a good place to start. It's an amazing structure, but your business is different from Travis's business, is different from someone else's business. And so there'll probably be some retweaking for what works for you specifically, but this is a phenomenal starting point. But be willing to be malleable and change it. We talk about that a lot too, that it might not be a one size fits all for everybody, but it's a phenomenal place to start. So Travis, I know before we wrap this whole thing up,
I was going to say one more column that you could put on the master listing spreadsheet that I think would help our listeners as well. I would add like a, who your vendor is, because I mean, sometimes you have more than one, so are you getting this? Is this a Guten product? Is it a Printify product? Is it a, Printful product? And you can because again, you can sort by those things. So if you just want to deal with all of your Printify products because Printify treated you bad and you want to go to Guten now, you can sort by that and say, I got all my data. I got everything I need. I'm going to go to Guten. I just need to change that vendor print SKU. And I might need to use bulk mockup to change the dimensions of my print files for Guten because it's different than Printify. So just another, idea for making this master listing spreadsheet really the master listing spreadsheet, and really kind of one spreadsheet to rule them all, if you will.
Yeah, that's awesome. Much like a ring, just one spreadsheet to rule them all. And I know, Travis, before we put a bow on this episode, you had something you kind of wanted to share with those listening, maybe, a preview of things to come. Q4 is on the horizon, which, speaking of things to come, October will be here in no time. Believe it or not, folks, we're 2 days away from being halfway through August. So figure that out. Insane. But we are going to be doing our Q4 kind of check-in health assessment of Q4 of your business heading into Q4, which you do every year. It's kind of like that yearly physical with less coughing. So Travis, you wanted to share something with the listeners. So go ahead and then when you're done there, we'll wrap this thing up and send it on home.
All right. So episode 205, I talked a lot about mindset and some of the things that I've been dealing with for years now in the print on demand cast universe, and wanting to figure out ways to, monetize the show and pay for our time that we've invested and all of that stuff. And so what I'm planning on doing, and I believe I don't have a date for it yet, but I'm going to do a free challenge. And I'm going to invite as many of you that want to come into this free challenge, and we're going to talk about organization. And no, I'm not going to force you to fill out every single column and every single row on these spreadsheets. But I am going to provide them to you and help you figure out a way to make them work for your business if you're interested in something like that. So I know a lot of people have asked for these spreadsheets, and I've actually done some consulting for some people. If you're interested in that, you can jump on a discovery call with me and we can talk about what it looks like to work together one-on-one. But in this challenge, it'll be a group format. We'll be kind of working together, but you will get access to these example spreadsheets, and then you can see how they can work in your business. And we will talk about how they can work in different settings, because some people are just going to Printify, they're, dragging their art onto the thing, making it a little bigger or whatever. Oh, that looks good. And then they're using all the Printify mock-ups and all of that stuff. But there's still a way that you can stay organized and not be so completely dependent on Printify or Printful or Guten or Gelato or whoever. There are ways that you can create organization in your business that will serve you for years to come. So plan on that sometime in September. If you're interested in that, I would love for you to send an email to info@printondemandcast.com saying, hey, I heard the episode. I'm definitely interested in the Getting Organized Challenge. And I don't have a cool fancy name for it yet, but I probably will. Or you can post in the Facebook group, hey, send me an instant message on, is that what they call them? Just a message. Just send me a message.
Yeah,
that's dating me, isn't it?
My goodness.
Yeah. Send me a message on Facebook or on Instagram and say, hey, I'm interested in the challenge. Keep me posted. And then y'all will get, notified when it comes out. And if you've DM'd me, I'll reply to you and say, hey, here's the sign up link. And it's going to be a free challenge. Not going to cost you anything. And we're going to try to get organized for Q4 and get organized for the next rest of our business lives.
Yes.
We're going to talk all about that. Should be a lot of fun. I mean, I know Josiah hates spreadsheets, and to be honest,
Emotional damage.
to be honest, I don't love them. I just see the immense value of what it can do for your business over time. And so I've kind of, drank the medicine or ate the medicine, drink you spoonful of medicine, spoonful of sugar.
Yes.
Makes the medicine go down.
The medicine go down.
I don't have any sugar because I just have spreadsheets.
Just medicine. Spreadsheets is not sugar, it's medicine. But I will say I can attest as well. You guys listened to the episode with my wife where she talks about her Etsy woes and her shop got shut down. And so we then took that opportunity to restructure everything similarly to what Travis was doing in spreadsheets. And it completely kind of changed the game for those months and years going forward in the business. So while I don't enjoy the creation of them, or really just the data inputting and all that, the really monotonous stuff that can be really, really arduous at times, still is wildly worth it when you're past that. So it'll make life so much easier when those things, when those setbacks kind of come up, or you're trying to expand platforms, what have you. So, and that's episode 68, pushing through Etsy setbacks with Madelyn Sifuentes, about that particular story. And also, just so everyone's aware, Pet Awareness Month was in May. So next year in May, you can get prepped for Pet Awareness Month, but I had to Google that and find out. Travis knows that he'll just leave a question lingering, and in about 10 minutes, I Googled it a long time ago, just didn't have a chance to really interject that. So I think that is all. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode, watching this episode. Hopefully it's going to be a lot more informative and beneficial if you're watching along with us on YouTube. Again, printondemancast.com/YouTube is where you can go to find that. If you're interested in that challenge that Travis was talking about, the Get Organized Challenge, again, you can email info@printondemancast.com, or you can go to Facebook, printondemancast.com/Facebook, or printondemancast.com/Instagram, and let us know if you are interested in taking part in that incredible challenge. It's going to set you up for Q4, a successful Q4 and successful business even beyond that. So, Travis, anything else before we wrap up the show?
No, I'm just, kind of questioning my this decision to announce this thing, because now I have to do it. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
But hey,
yeah. Okay.
Go back and listen to
that squeeze.
Yeah, go back, listen to episode 205, and I'm learning, and now I'm going to practice this so I can become. So yeah, there we go. There's another callback.
Yes, there it is. So yeah, do go listen to episode 205. It's absolutely fantastic. And then again, if you guys are interested in the challenge, let us know. But until then, we'll see you next week here on the Print on Demand Cast. For Travis, I'm Josiah, and we'll see you then.
See ya.
Hey, babe. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you've got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.